Okay, so welcome back. So this evening's meal, what I'm going to be doing is utilising the sausage ragù sauce that I made yesterday. And as you can see, it's not saucy anymore, so that will just make a nice base for the quiche that I'm going to make today. So what I've done is I've greased the quiche dish with some butter. I'm just going to put that over the sausage ragù pot to keep any flies off it. And then what I'm going to do is make some homemade short crust pastry today. So what I've got is 200 grams of sieved plain white flour. And then what I'm going to do is cut some unsalted butter into small little chunks. It's 100 grams. And then put that into the flour, and then basically crumble it like with my fingers, crumble it all up so it's almost like a little bit of like a breadcrumb mix. And then after that, I'll put like 2 tablespoons of water into it, just there or thereabouts. And then to create almost like quite a dry dough. And then after that, then I'm going to flour the work surface, roll it into a ball, and then roll it out into maybe like some 3mm short crust pastry. And then I can put it into the flan dish, the quiche dish, whichever way you want to call it. And then I'll show you what I'm going to be doing next. So let me just get this butter into the flour mix. Okay. Here it goes. It's going to be a bit of a longer video today because obviously I've got to make homemade pastry. Normally I would actually just to speed up the process buy like some ready rolled like short crust pastry. But actually I think it's I couldn't actually buy some from the shops, so it's worked in maybe your favour because I get to show you how to do the pastry as well. So I'm just going to try and like pull it up a little bit so it gets a bit of air to it. Okay. Takes a little bit of time. And also it's cold butter. Use cold butter. So what I'm actually doing is like doing this, crumbling it down with the flour and actually warming it up, and that's what softens it into little balls. Just going to carry on doing this. And when you're sort of doing it, if you're unsure about how much butter is still clumped up, then you can just shake the pot, and then look, it all comes to the surface. The butter comes to the surface of the flour because it's heavier. You're just shaking it above, and then you can just go ahead and just keep on making it into little breadcrumbs. I'm not going to be too fussed about this. This is like homemade, rustic, resourceful cooking, isn't it? Quarantine cooking, as I say. So it doesn't really matter too much. Doesn't matter if you spill a little bit on the worktop because I need to flour it anyway. So don't be too precious about that. And if you haven't got a large enough worktop, then obviously a chopping board will do, whatever you've got to hand. It's quite hard on your fingertips, all this, but it's actually a cheaper way than buying ready-made pastry. All I'm using is flour, 100 grams of butter, and some water, a little bit of water. Obviously that's cheap as chips, and this will make probably more than a roll of short crust pastry that you buy in a shop for £1.50. So That's another thing to bear in mind. If you want to save a few pennies, then you can do that. Okay, so now that's done, what I'm going to do is just get a little spoon and 2 tablespoons of water, just say, and see how we go with that. Let's just see how we go with that. And then, because you don't want it too wet, it's not like a pizza dough. See, it's like starting to take on a bit. Look, it's starting to come together. Look, already, just with 2 tablespoons. That's all you need. And I think that's perfect, actually. So what I'm going to do now is just put it into almost like a little ball, okay? And then try and scrape out all the edges from the outside, put it on there. That's it. And then what I'm going to do is put some flour on the worktop, just a little bit. That's it. And then I can basically give it a knead, just a little bit of a knead. Gather all like the loose bits together. So when you're kneading, you just basically, once you've got it into a clump, use the back of your hand, yeah, and then push down again. And you don't want to do it too much, but just knead it together, that's it. You don't want to overwork the pastry, to be honest. Okay, so that's fine. That's a short crust pastry pile there. Okay, so let's just move these like loose bits here. We don't need them. Okay. And what I do is I just put a little bit more flour there. Only a little bit. What I do is I'll put that on the rolling pin, just a little bit there, to stop that from sticking. And then what you do is, should have actually said that before, as you're rolling it, just give it one, quite firm, sharp street rolls, and give it a quarter turn, and then do it again. Quarter turn, again, quarter turn, again, quarter turn, again. And what that does, it basically makes sure when you're rolling it, it creates like an even kind of shape. Okay? And if you just notice there's like cracks sort of like appearing in the pastry, then what I do is just use your fingers and sort of like merge it back in together. It's not like you can flip. Look, I mean, that's it so far. I realised that the quiche pastry wasn't going to be enough, so I've added another 100 grams of sieved flour, 50 grams of unsalted butter, done the same process what you saw before, and then just rolled it out nicely here. And then what I've also done, I've just checked that it fits. Look, that's a good size for the quiche dish, so that's fine. And now what I'll do is, what you find is homemade pastry can be quite delicate. So to avoid it splitting when you roll it, just roll it up onto the rolling pin. Okay, like that. See it's splitting a little bit, but that's fine by the time. So then I can just see it like that, yeah. So then I can just leave that like that now. And then when I'm ready, in fact I'll just do it now. So what we do is to put it into the quiche dish, just put it like that, and then roll it back the other way. Okay. now, this is the easiest part. Okay, we're just basically going to push the edges into the, you can see that, the nice wavy shape of the flan dish. Okay, and that will just create like a nice patterned edge to our quiche eventually once it's done. I'm preheating the oven at just 125, nice and gently, until I'm ready to go in there, and I'll whack it up to about 180, and that'll stay in there for about 35 minutes for the quiche to be done. Okay, so that's fine now. So what I'll use is just the back of a knife, okay, and that, and you can spin the quiche dish as you're doing it, and that will just basically get rid of like the edge of the pastry. Some people leave the edge on, but I don't like to do it. And also some people like to blind bake their quiches, but I roll mine quite thin, like 3 mil thick, just say. So I never, and at quite a high temperature too, 180 degrees, so my base, the bottom of my quiche is never soggy, so it's fine. So what I like to do is just give it 3 little pricks. Yeah. It just helps like cook the base a little bit. Okay, and then all we've got left over is this little bit of pastry with all this stuff. But then what I'll do with that, I'll utilise that for tomorrow's little lunch, I think. Okay, so whilst that's done, I'm just going to basically put some rapeseed oil in the pan. On the high burner to save a bit of time for you guys. Again, I'm going to put some 2 cloves of garlic in there. Just a nice heaped handful of like chopped chorizo, which will really like complement the sausage ragù sauce that I made. And then I'm just going to basically cook this all down with some spring onions, some chopped courgette, and then mix in the sausage dish ragù, and then put that in the quiche. I've prepared some. This is like 5 eggs that I've put in here, just a splash of milk and some thyme as well. I just had like some leftover dried thyme. It doesn't look too appetizing, but I'm just going to do this for demonstration purposes, because fresh thyme doesn't really last in the fridge. So if you just dry it outside of the fridge, then what you do, you just do that. Yeah. In fact, I'll use that in there. An extra bit of time doesn't go amiss. But look, it's just basically an easy way to dry your own herbs. Keep it in the rubber band. Okay. Okay. And then I'll just put some cracked pepper in the egg as well. No extra salt. If you've watched any of my other videos, don't put any added salt into my food. My wife's got high blood pressure again, so just say that in every video, just in case it's the first one you're watching. Okay, chorizo's cooking nicely. Can you see that? The garlic and the chorizo. And then I'll just put some spring onion in. At the same time as the courgette, because when it's in the oven, all merged up into the quiche, it's going to be cooking for half an hour. So even if it's a little bit al dente, then it doesn't really matter, really. But I like to get it relatively soft, not overcook it beforehand, obviously. So you can see that taking up a nice little colour. In your traditional quiche would have like, just going to wash my hands, would have like mushrooms and onions and stuff like that. Maybe a bit of bacon, or put like salmon in there, it's nice, broccoli's nice in there, goat's cheese, whatever you want. But I'm not putting onions in it today, I'm putting spring onions instead. And I always like it, so garlic goes with everything as well. So. Yeah, that's great. in goes the sausage mix. Just heat this through basically and merge it into the new little base of flavours that I've got here in the pan. I'll put it on the highest burner just to save a bit of time. Obviously we're grilling, so. That's done. Yeah, that's really nice. Look. I'm just going to scoop that into the quiche, like so. And that's going to fill it up nicely there. Look. It's quite a meaty quiche. Okay. Just when you're doing the quiche, just try and pack it down as much as possible. I never like, in quiches, I never try to use like wet ingredients like spinach or tomatoes too much because it will just make the pastry a bit soggy, to be honest. Unless you use like maybe sun-dried or sun-blushed tomatoes are a good option. You know? I'm just packing that down, so the idea of that is when it's cooked and then like cooled down for like maybe 10 minutes before you cut it, it all stays like nice and compressed and you can cut it into a nice slice then. Okay, that's done. So in goes the egg. Just put that in there. That covers it nice. You always allow a centimetre below the pastry to allow for the egg to rise. Okay, just give it a little move there so it goes down. And then what I'm going to do is I've chopped up like lots of these like rings of yellow pepper. And I'm just going to quickly put them around the quiche here. And this just creates like a nice little pattern in there, I find. Okay, that's it. I think that'll do. I've got 2 left over, but I'll utilise that tomorrow. And then what I'm going to do is just going to grate some cheese on top. And then it can go in the oven. And then half an hour later, I'll take a picture of it all plated up for you. I'll probably just serve it with a nice little simple salad, maybe a bit of beetroot, some rocket or something, a couple of cherry tomatoes, and that's it. And the good thing about this quiche is obviously this will do for tomorrow's lunch as well, or tomorrow's dinner, or it will last a couple of days to be honest, so I might not want to have quiche tomorrow. But it depends what I'm cooking for lunch tomorrow. I'm not going to disclose that. So I'll just give you a little hint there. That's it. I'm not going to go overboard with the cheese, because obviously cheese is quite salty and stuff. But you know, everyone's got their pitfalls. Well, mine is cheese. I love cheese. And just to finish it off, a bit of pepper on top, and that's it. And that's the quiche. We'll whack that oven up from 125 to 180 and put the timer on for half an hour and see how it looks.